Hello, Medofopa. So, do you remember the bargain I had on these plantains? They were so overripened, and I had the whole box for £5. So, I used some to make this air fried tatale and baked OFAM. But I couldn't have used all of that plantain for only tatale. I used it in various ways, and this is one of them, plantain cake. So today I'm going to show you how I preserved the rest of the plantains and how else I used it. I'm going to give you the recipe for this lovely plantain cake, which my family who don't like plantain, anything to do with plantain, they ate it all in a day. And also how I made these air fried Kelewele with the very soft plantains, and it was so delicious and very much healthier. So yeah, let's get right into it. As the plantains were really overripened, but there were a few bits that were a little bit firm, I decided to group it into two. So I've got my bowl of just a little bit firm plantain, and the other bowl which contained really mushy and soft plantains. So the firm ones, I thought of cutting it up and using it for Kelewele, and this one I thought of using it for my plantain batter mix to be used for tatale, KAAKRO, plantain cake, or any creative thing that I thought I could use it for. So with the firm ones, I again tried to get the bits that were firmer, because not all the bits were firm, some bits were really mushy, and I used the firm bits and cut it up into the Kelewele style. So here was my bowl of Kelewele plantain, and that will be for my plantain batter mix. I prepared a spice mix to season my plantain batter mix and the Kelewele, and for that I used some sage, some ginger, some onions, some scotch bonnet, and After Village Kitchen's 7 spice blend, including some salt. So I put my sage, my ginger, onions and pepper into my blender and blended everything up. For this spice mix, I used about 3 medium-sized onions, some good couple of pieces of ginger, a handful of sage, and about 3 big-size scotch bonnets. But you will find in the description box recipe for Kelewele, OFAM, tatale, and other plantain recipes, all in the description box, so don't fret, I've got you. Okay, so I added some After Village Kitchen's 7 spice blend, which includes swintia with diaba, pepper, and it just gives the whole spice mix such a lovely flavor. So I used half of this spice mix to season my Kelewele, and I used the other half for my plantain batter mix. So to the Kelewele I added some salt and I mixed everything up. And because I was not going to fry all of that Kelewele that day, I bagged it and froze it. And this is how I did it. I bagged it up into meal-sized portions, and I cleaned the bag up nicely, closed it, making sure I had most of the air out of the bag, and I just spread it out so that when it is frozen it doesn't stick together. So this is where I spread it out, and I did my best to get most of the air out of the bag. I placed both bags in my oven tray to put in the freezer for it to freeze. So next on to my plantain butter mix. So basically I added the rest of the plantains into the blender with the pepper mix and blended everything together, and it was just so nice and silky smooth, and this is what I was looking for. Unlike my tatale, which I wanted that bit of texture, this was a butter mix. I could also use it for tatale, but it was going to be a base for so many other things. I added more 7-spice blend and a bit of salt because I wanted extra flavors popping through this batter mix. So to this batter mix too, I added some flour. I was going to freeze most of this batter mix to use whenever I needed, but I wanted it to have a consistency that I could work with. It will be a base for my batter mix recipes. So I added in a bit of flour just to get a bit of a thick texture, and I packaged some of this into my freezer bags, all dated and labeled so that you know what it is. And yes, I got these into sizable portions, ziplocked it, tried to get a lot of the air out of it, and I added to the Kelewele bags and froze it for later. So now onto how I made this lovely plantain cake. For this, I used some self-raising flour, some eggs, granulated sugar, walnuts, olive oil, the plantain butter mix I made, some baking powder, and some vanilla extract. So into my blender, I cracked my 3 eggs, added in my granulated sugar, about a teaspoon or so of vanilla extract. So I've got the recipe in the description box for you, so do not fret. And I added in some walnuts, a cup of walnuts, and about 3 cups of self-raising flour. So the formula here is to use 3 cups or 3 parts of flour to 1 part of the butter mix. That is what will give you the cake consistency or the cake texture, and not give you the OFAM texture. Also remember that I had already added in some flour to my batter mix, so you need to bear that in mind if you are creating this batter mix or this plantain cake from scratch. So I also added in some olive oil to help make this cake nice and moist, and then I added in my baking powder, blended all of that up, and I got this thick batter mix. This is the consistency you should have. Any less thicker, if it is thin and runny, you're going to have it to be really moist, and it's going to be more like an OFAM texture, right? But if you want a proper cake, and for me in particular, because my family doesn't like OFAM and they don't like plantain. Have you ever heard of this before? People not liking plantain. Yeah, but that's my family. So I wanted to have it to be nice and thick and more of a cake texture. So I added in more flour to give that thick texture. I baked it in a preheated oven at 200 degrees Celsius for about 45 minutes, or until the skewer, when pricked into it, was clean. So it was ready. I let it cool down before doing this. Took it out of the pans. Yes, you need to let it cool down, otherwise burns. So be careful. And just look how beautiful this is. Look, it tasted as good as it looks. I don't even know if my camera did a good job with the picture, but it was really good. And I know it was really good because my people who don't like plantains, and they were really, they kept asking me, what did you put in this? And I thought, I just said, you know what, just eat it, try it first. Because once I said it was plantains, they wouldn't have tasted it. But they tasted it and they loved it. And we finished the 2 loaves in that same day. So it was good, and I hope you will give this plantain cake a try. I have put the recipe link in the description box, so have a look and do give it a try. If you're enjoying this video so far, please give me a thumbs up, like, comment, say hey Midofapa, you're doing a good job, I'm learning a thing or two. Alright, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. It really encourages me when I see people subscribing and liking it. So yes, I had to make some kelewele. Of course, I couldn't make kelewele and not fry some kelewele, but because this plantain was so soft and mushy, I wasn't looking forward to frying it in oil. I fried it in my air fryer, and because of that I added about a teaspoon of oil and put it in my air frying pan, which had been preheated, and air fried it at the chips function for this particular air fryer for about 10 to 20 minutes. So look how beautiful that came out as well. I mean, if I had fried this in oil, it would have been so soggy, right? But for considering that it was such a very soft plantain, look at how it is. It was so much healthier, right? So this was really good. But on hindsight, I would probably have used a dry spice mix rather than a wet spice mix for the kelewele. But I will bring a drier version to you as well, and I'm sure you would love that as well. And I made this nut mix in my air fryer as well. I'll bring that to you very soon. So yeah, if you want to see more of this, please don't forget to subscribe. Turn on your notification button, share this video with all your friends and family. Don't keep it to yourself, and I will see you the next time in my next video. And Midofapa, like I always say, make the most out of your current situation, and don't forget to have a good time whilst at it. See you soon.